Yes, good morning. Mrs. Murder here. I should not keep it light because this is about murder most foul. At any rate, William of Lythwood is returning to Shrewsbury in a coffin, and his apprentice, Ellis, is bringing him there because he wants to be buried or wanted to be buried in the graveyard of St. Peter and St. Paul there in Shrewsbury, and had been there for many years. But he accompanies and tries to secure a burial place. And while he's there, Elif, who had been in Shrewsbury before he went on the road, modern day language with medieval ideas and language, he goes to visit the family that he had lived with as a very young man before he went on the road with William. And William has a daughter there that he had adopted when her family was killed. And he remembers the family, and he's welcomed. Love is welcomed, and they're very saddened about the news about William. The father of the home is away on business and won't be back for a few days, but he gets to meet with the rest of the family. And at that time, when he goes back to the Abbey, some of the brothers, some of his acquaintances there at the house asked him to go out and have a drink. And he went out and have a drink, and after he'd had a few drinks, he made a couple of heretical statements, and they challenged him on it, and he said that, well, that's what William believed, and of course William had been charged with heresy, and they reported him. And at the time, one of the princes of the church was visiting there at the Abbey and decided he was going to make an example of Elif, and had him arrested, but not before there was a murder involving the initial family. Okay, I don't need to go into the whole complicated story, and I can't discuss the entire challenge of the trial, which was philosophically interesting, I'm sure, to philosophers, and very interesting to those of religious scholars. I did understand the points, some of the points, and some of the points actually I had referred to in a previous book where I complained about a child that was buried outside a baby, because it had not been baptized, couldn't be buried in the church grounds in the Shrewsbury, had to be buried outside the gate. Well, this is that kind of one of the situations that Elif didn't believe that a child is born with original sin. And so we're discussing original sin. We're discussing a lot of the points of the God is three in one, and whether it's just Father and Son, or what's the role of the Spirit. And we're discussing a lot of different theological points that were troubling people in the 11th century, and enough that they would put someone to death for expressing them, saying them aloud, especially if they're affiliated with the church in any way, as an apprentice, as a monk, as a novitiate. At any rate, it gets into some interesting discussions, as well as, they don't go on and on, but they're interspersed the theology is interspersed in all of the books, I think, but our Shrewsbury, the Heretic's Apprentice, which I also have on my screen. I'd like to have had that book. This one was not as easily read, although the print is plenty big enough. I think that my philosopher's son would really enjoy this book, because he likes discussing philosophy, and he would like the religious views, and he can discuss those with his father, who gets into this kind of discussion a lot with me, and I'm not as clear about explaining things. So read The Heretic's Apprentice, and you'll have read the 16th in Ellis Peters' books, and the next book is going to be the 17th. Amazing. 17 follows 16. Okay, so the next one is The Potter's Field. And a clue, the potter's field belonged to a potter, and he put all of his clay pots in that field and pulled the clay out of the field. It's not the potter's field as we think of today as, oh, that's where the dead, the unclean are buried. However, a corpse is found there, so it should be an interesting read, and we should discover why and how she got there and what the story is behind that, since that's now the Abbey's land. So until next time, read, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.